Sky Bet League 2 running analysis and predictions from Not the Top 20. This podcast sponsored by Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund. 10 games over the weekend in League 2. We will get into those as part of our analysis of the league as a whole. But top lines at the top, only one team in the top 5 won. At the bottom, 3 of the bottom 4 won. Wow, what a weekend. Significant in terms of results. It's a hell of a league table. At the top, Bromley on 79, MK Dons on 74, Notts on 73, Cambridge now 4th, 72, a game in hand over the rest. Then Swindon and Salford both on 70. There's Bromley, 5 points clear at the top, and then 4 points separating the next 5 teams. Now, Matt Pye 95 on Twitter, pointing out that still to come this season in League 2, the fixture computer gives us MK against Bromley, Bromley against Cambridge, Salford against Bromley, Cambridge against Notts, Salford against Notts, Cambridge against Swindon, Crewe against Milton Keynes, Crewe against Salford, Cambridge against Grimsby, Crewe against Cambridge, Grimsby against Swindon, Chesterfield against Grimsby, Grimsby against Crewe, Swindon against Chesterfield, and that doesn't even mention Barnet playing Bromley and Notts County, having just beaten MK and Cambridge back to back.
I think that's the closest I've come to rapping on the pod, I think. Glass.
I'm so into League 2 right now. I think it might be the best league in the world. Bromley, they lost to Barrow. Having been unbeaten in 21 games, they lost to a team that had only won 2 of their previous 25 games. Look, the weekend football in League 2 was so windy and so impacted and affected by wind that it's probably silly to overanalyze performances and matches. But this wasn't Bromley's best, let's be clear. And having gone ahead through a free kick, they then conceded twice in the second half. They weren't the best version of themselves, I think it's fair to say. But they've still got a 5-point gap at the top of League 2 because MK lost as well, and so did Cambridge. Their fixture list, Bromley, is not for the faint of heart. They play Barnet, who've just beaten MK and Cambridge. Then they're at home to Shrewsbury. That's got to be a win, you have to think. Then they're away to Milton, Keynes, Dons. Then they're at home to Cambridge United. That is 2nd and 4th in back-to-back games. Then they travel to Salford. Oh, they're 6th. And they finish at home to Darren Byfield's Walsall. Michael Cheek is injured at the moment. He's been out for the last 5 games quite quietly, and I don't know when his return is slated. I still think, George, there's still 3 wins, I think, in there for Bromley in their last 6. And if I think that they'll get 3 wins, that means minimum 88 points. That means, no doubt in my mind, they still get autos. And I think they are still the probable title winners. But you don't.
I think MK Dons will still win the league. And in part that's because I think Bromley's current level for 7 or 8 games now is at best like top half form. Both in terms of the performance level, but also the results too. You know, even the wins are coming. It's hard to win loads of games of football winning by solitary goals, and that is what we've seen them do. And it doesn't surprise me that they came out on the wrong side of a tight game on Saturday. I definitely didn't see MK's slump coming, 2 defeats in a row. But again, if you actually analyse the games, the Barnet one was a game where they took the lead in early, and then Barnet were uncharacteristically efficient in front of goal in a game where MK had the better chances within the game. Just the opposition took them. And then Salford was a really tight game away at a good team where MK missed some chances at 0-0. Then Butcher scored a really nice goal from the edge of the area to make it 1-0. There wasn't loads wrong in the performances. It was just, not their best performances, and they were made to pay for it. They've got Barrow at home next up on Friday, which, despite Barrow's win against Bromley, feels like a nice fixture to get them back into the mix. Callum Patterson and Nathaniel Mendez-Lang have been missing for the last few weeks, and Paul Warne said a couple of weeks ago that they're nearly fit, but he wouldn't be rushing them in. You'd think they're probably going to return back to action off the back of an international break. As you mentioned, the title clash with Bromley on the 11th is going to be huge, and that's at home, so they'll be heavy favourites to win it, especially with the betting markets are hating Bromley at the moment. They're going off some crazy prices when you consider where their position in the league, and I think that there's a fair chance MK will be heavy odds on to win that game. So they are obviously sweating now, but again, like last 3 games away at Crewe is obviously tricky, but not like terrifying. Home to Tranmere is a game they'll be heavily odds on for again. Away at a Fleetwood team that already have nothing to play for, albeit they're playing quite well in that guise. So the Bromley are the only team currently in the top 7 that they play. I know Crewe in the top 7, but Bromley are quite clearly the toughest game in terms of league position. But I think MK are the best team in the league, and even though they've got a bit of a gap to bridge, I think should they beat Bromley, I think they will do it.
You love them so much. Why don't you just marry them, mate?
That's a good gag.
Notts County are third. Notts County are third. Now then, if recency bias is a thing in predictions and or analysis, and good God it is, how about the only top 5 team to win on the weekend and moving into the top 3 as a result after defeat to Oldham in midweek, which felt at the time quite hurtful. Didn't matter that much. They went to Harrogate, they won 2-0, everyone else lost or dropped points, and they are third. And I must admit, watching this game, it was the early kickoff, thought the balance looked really nice in the first half. They coped well with windy conditions, which they had not done at Oldham in midweek. But just, if we start at the top of the pitch, you had Dennis and Jatta at the top of the pitch. You had Tangen and Iopenda in the kind of number 8 roles. You had Palmer sitting at the base of midfield, progressing the ball nicely. The wing-backs, Bennett's on the right side, Jody Jones on the left. And the centre-backs, Macari, Badeau as the outside centre-backs and Ness as the central centre-half. I thought the balance looked really nice, and they deserved their 2-0 win. It wasn't, they had Harrogate had a couple of spells, but I was really, really impressed, especially in the context of them missing in defence Concrete Rod and Matt Platt. They're missing Cerula, they're missing Norbert, they're missing Robertson. They cope really well with that. And I think the firepower at the top of the pitch, with Jatta in particular in great form, NTT20.com's weekend notes logging that he has scored 34 league goals across the last 2 seasons. Only Erling Haaland and Michael Cheek have more in the top 4 tiers. Not an easy fixture list. They've got Salford away this Friday, then Newport at home. Then it's Cambridge away. That is a ginormous football match based on the league table right now, with them in 3rd and Cambridge in 4th, 1 point between them. Then they host Barnet, who are sort of giant killers at the moment. Their season might be done at that point, but it very much could still be alive. They finish with Colchester and Bristol Rovers, which is a relatively nice way to finish. Both teams will be, lacking jeopardy at that point. So, yeah, I really... I do not know what's going to happen with Notts from this point. They're winning a lot of games at the moment, 5 of their last 8, but they lost at home to Grimsby, they lost at home to Chesterfield, down to 10, of course. They lost that big one against Oldham in midweek, so they're not a perfect team either. Essentially, they're just 4 really, really good teams at the moment, maybe 5 if you include Salford, and I'm finding it tough. That game against Cambridge is going to be massive. What happened to Cambridge on the weekend, George? What's going to happen to them for the rest of the season?
Yeah, the latest team to be to come undone against a Barnet side that we'd finally all accepted weren't good enough to be in this playoff race, and then they go and beat MK Dons and they beat Cambridge 1-0.
Danny Collins, the former Golden Boy nominee.
Bleak game this. Just a succession of set pieces, really, with Collins with a lovely deft flick at the near post from a corner. In what looked a pretty windy affair on Saturday afternoon at Barnet. I don't think there's any reason to be too concerned about Cambridge's performance here. They were still pretty good defensively. They still restricted Barnet to relatively little, but they couldn't really break Barnet down. Last time Cambridge lost was away from home as well against Harrogate in the league, and they went and they beat Crawley 3-0 after that, and Bristol Rovers 3-1 after that too. I don't think Neil Harris' side are going to panic, even if that result meant they fell out of the top 3. They host Swindon in a massive game on Thursday night, and it feels like the timing of this game is huge, because in the same way that with the early kickoff on Saturday, Notts County really kind of laid down a marker by beating Harrogate 2-0 in the early kickoff, and that meant that Cambridge and Bromley and MK Dons all knew that they'd won and then all lost. Cambridge have an opportunity, as do Swindon, to get a really important 3 points on the board ahead of the Friday games. And again, Cambridge massive odds on to win that game. The market, Swindon another one where the market's completely gone off them now, and doesn't really rate them as a top 7 side at the moment by the looks of things. I'm not too worried about Cambridge off the back of that. I think we know what they are. Like, they are the most dependable team in terms of what they're going to do. Like, teams are not going to create much against them. They are going to find ways to create chances from open play and set pieces, albeit not loads of them. But their goal score column this season's been pretty good, and it's kind of in line with where they are. So they've got some big games. Notts County at home on the 11th. Again, feels very big. That 11th of April just seems like a huge Saturday in the EFL. The amount of times we've spoken about it today.
Let's try and hang out together that day, because there's going to be some big stuff going on.
Yeah, and then they go to Bromley on another Thursday night after that too. So
I'm on a stag do in Lille.
I might go. I won't go.
That's Masters weekend.
Yeah, I won't go.
Wow. What weekend?
It's the weekend after the Masters. Masters is the 11th. Yeah.
It's the 11th we're talking about.
No, 16th. I said the Thursday night. I've moved on. You know, that was you. I was talking about Bromley on a Thursday night.
You said 11th is a massive day of games. I said, let's hang out that weekend.
Yeah, and I said, yeah, we will. And then the Thursday, the 16th, they go to Bromley.
We can definitely hang out that night.
Yeah, we could go to that game.
Thursday night, Bromley, Cambridge.
Yeah.
Yes, please. See you there. Right. Swindon, they're in this. They're massively in this. Of course they are. They're locked on 70 points with Salford. They're 2 points behind Cambridge and 3 behind Notts. But they're not playing as well as any of the other teams that we're talking about here. That's been clear over the last couple of games, last couple of months. That they are playing more like a kind of 7th to 12th team than they are a top 3 or a top 7 team right now. They do have an 8-point cushion to 8th, so they should be fine there. They should, at the very least, be a playoff team. The question is, can they summon a run and end up in the 3 auto spots in this 6-horse race? And it feels unlikely. Ian Holloway's team aren't playing as well as they were in the first part of the season. They don't look as imaginative or as creative at the top of the pitch. They don't look hugely convincing defensively. They drew 1-1 with Fleetwood at home on Saturday, took the lead through Billy Bowden after a Drinan header was just about kept out, and then gave up their lead. Bit of sloppy defending allowed Mark Helm to score for Fleetwood, and actually Fleetwood probably had the best chance to win it after that. So not that impressed with Swindon right now. There's potential for some real issues off the pitch to be brewing. Some reporting overnight for their owner Clem Morfuni and his financial issues over in Australia could feasibly cause some problems for Swindon in the mid to long term, and that may or may not start affecting them on the pitch at some point. But I'm not feeling great about them right now compared to this cohort around them. What of Salford, for example, George, who after it was 6 defeats in 8, that
5 wins in 6.
That turned into 5 wins in 6.
What do we say about Carl?
He loves football.
Streaky man.
Imagine if that was the thing we said about Carl. He loves football.
I think he does.
He really loves football.
5 wins in 6, 6 wins in 8. It's basically, how long can this streak go on for? Because if it continues, there's every chance they can force their way in the top 3. Like, they were good against MK Dons. Fabio Barini continues to just play a really fun role off the bench, this time by getting a ball kicked at him, which caused a melee. And for Luke offered to be sent off for kicking the ball at him as he lay on the floor. There was quite fun. I think quite a few Italian football fans made the journey to Salford to watch Barini.
Amazing.
In this one with a great photo of them all together after the game. It was a decent performance against a very good team, and again it put that 1-0 defeat away at Cambridge kind of behind them. Big games they've got coming up. They host Notts County and they host Bromley, 2 teams they're going to want to finish above this season. And apart from that, it's relatively kind. They go to Crawley on final day, which could be tough depending on the Crawley situation, and they host Gillingham, a team who you'd think are beach bound or at least possibly even already there. So I'm feeling quite good about Salford, but it just comes with a big caveat that we know there's every chance that it could unravel pretty quickly and they lose a few games in a row, which has been the case with them all season. What I would also say in their defence, and to credit Robinson, is that the pressure was massively on. And the pressure is on. Like, I think, MK Dons are known as like the money bag team and the big spenders. Like, Salford won't be, they'll be quite a long way behind them, but they spend a lot of money. It feels like this is a season where they want to achieve. And my assumption is that if they don't achieve, then, I know Robinson signed a new contract recently, but his position will come under threat, because this is a squad that they will feel should finish at the very least in the top 7, but should be challenging for promotion. And against MK Dons, his former team, with the pressure on, they put in a really good performance. So, if this is going to be a team that thrive under the pressure, then they could easily finish in the top 3.
I think this is obviously ifs, and that's basically what this.
Where's the but?
That's where this whole show is. This, but if they beat Notts on Friday, they've got that game against Bromley, penultimate game of the season at home, and there are the other teams around them are playing each other quite a lot. So again, that gives Salford some opportunities to games where their rivals play against each other. Obviously, one or both of those teams is going to drop points. So I kind of think it's opened up quite nicely for Salford in a funny way. I probably feel more punchy about them making the top 3 now than I did
Me too.
even 5 minutes ago. But the problem is, George, I think 5 teams are going to finish in the top 3, and they can't.
Well, Ali, that's impossible.
They can't. The League 2 playoff picture's pretty nuts, because if you subscribe to the theory that it's unlikely that Swindon and Salford, for example, drop out altogether with an 8-point cushion right now, Well, that means there's only one spot up for grabs. But how many teams are going for it? Loads. Or more specifically, 6 of them. Crewe have 7th in their hands right now, 63 points. Grimsby 62, 2 games in hand. Chesterfield 62, 1 game in hand. Oldham 61, 1 game in hand. Walsall 61, no games in hand. Barnet 60 points from 40 games, no games in hand. So let's rattle through these and try and work out who's going to finish 7th. They'll be the team that has finished the season with momentum, and people will go, they've got the momentum. And whatever that will mean, we'll decide at the time.
Crewe got momentum, haven't they?
They've got some momentum in that they've won their last 2 games.
There you go, mate.
And they've got 6th spot, beating Oldham. Now that is impressive, because Oldham have been beating everyone else over the last 6 to 8 weeks. A screamer from Reece Hutchinson cancelled out Kane Drummond's first goal, or the opening goal. Oldham hitting the bar through Sutton. And what a moment. In injury time, the ball falls to Holacek on the edge of the box, on the half volley. He rifles it into the corner. Goalkeeper doesn't even move. It's an unbelievable strike, but the celebration tops it. 9.5 out of 10, right? Because the shirt is off as he runs towards the fans behind the goal. The shirt throw is one of the best I've ever seen. Maybe the wind is playing a role here, but he pops it up and it seems to like hang in the air about 10 foot off the ground. Holacek is knee sliding before that shirt's even hit the floor, and the only thing he loses points for, really dry pitch, knee slide, gets caught in, almost injures himself.
I'd have liked to have seen him put his arms up and then the shirt just fall back onto him like that.
That would be class.
Yeah.
What a win, what a moment for Holacek, a player that I really like. I think he's taking a big leap this season in front of our eyes. Said I wanted more goals and assists from him a couple of weeks ago. This is a pretty good start on that front. Reece Hutchinson, again, deserves a lot of credit for his role in the second goal, as well as his screamer for the first. So Crewe, they've got the spot at the moment. They've obviously played more games than most around them. They've got Aki away next, and they've got to do the business. They've got to follow this up, Crewe, because then just an absurd, like a joke of a fixture list. Salford at home, Grimsby away, MK at home, Chesterfield away, Cambridge at home to finish. They are playing only teams 9th and above to finish the season in their last 5 games. And it would be absolute class if they make it off the back of those fixtures. They really would be heading into the playoffs with momentum, because they'd have been beating a load of teams in and around it. And it's notable because the last few years, Crewe have been astonishingly bad from March onwards. 2 seasons ago, they won 2 of their last 12, making the playoffs still and losing in the playoff final. Last season, they won only 2 of their last 11 games, or 13 games rather. And this season, they started March with 2 defeats and a draw. It felt like the same as normal, but they have fought back to banish those demons from their past. They have 7th spot. Will they keep it? Chesterfield and Grimsby might have a say. They're just outside.
Yeah, 2 kind of funny profiles of teams where, in Grimsby's case, I think you can make a case for them being a top 3 team for quite a lot of the season, right, with just a kind of mid-season wobble really undermining their chances of being in the conversation that we had prior to discussing Crewe. But they're playing well again. They have 3 home games left between now and the end of the season. The home game against Swindon feels like it's going to be huge. We're talking about Swindon a lot when we're talking about big games here, which shows how difficult their fixture list is between now and the end of the campaign. And they go to Chesterfield as well. They should really be a lock for this top 7 spot, but they're not. It does feel like the arrival of Cook in January has really helped them in terms of having that focal point up top. He's a better fit for what Dave Artell's trying to do than Danny Rose was, and it feels like Jace Gaby is kind of profiting from having Cook up there as well and someone to play off that left-hand side. I think they'll probably finish in the top 7, but it's going to be tough to do so. Chesterfield are a funny one, where they were very good last season. They made a late run into the playoffs, but this time around they kind of feel untrustworthy. I don't feel like they're a team you can really hang your hat on, despite them having very good players and a good manager. Their fixtures are pretty favourable. Like their next 3 games are Cheltenham, Barrow and Tranmere before they host Grimsby. And then it's Fleetwood, Crewe and then Swindon on final day. Swindon pop up again.
Wow. Starting to get a bit nervous for Swindon.
So it's a two different, like Grimsby are the team that I'm kind of more confident on in terms of their quality, but Chesterfield may be the ones that I think have the players and the fixtures to really benefit them.
And then there's Oldham, who have come from nowhere. Went on an astounding run, but then lost late against Crewe. I think the performance was fine. Good even. And they've lost that one thanks to 2 worldies, essentially. The team's pretty locked in right now. They are playing at a very, very high level, from Hudson in goal, The centre-back pairing of Monte and Daniels is incredible. The fullbacks, Robson and Sutton, playing really well at the moment. Midfield, Woods and Pett are an excellent, experienced midfield too. Up top, Fondop's playing really, really well, and a couple of other impressive performers at the top of the pitch, Drummond in particular. So the team's really good right now. I'm not that worried about the defeat against Crewe. They've got Collieu and then MK over Easter. That's a pretty tough Easter weekend, but if they can keep levels where they are currently, I think they've got a decent chance of winning one or both of those games, quite frankly. They've got a game in hand, and it's Barrow away. Long trip, but they'll be favourites to win that game, you'd think. And then outside of that, they've got Shrewsbury, they've got Newport, they've got Aki. You've got to expect them to be winning at least two of those games, if not all three. So I think there's still a lot of points coming Oldham's way. I'm still feeling pretty bullish about them as a playoff candidate, despite that defeat over the weekend. Which leaves us Walsall also on 61, having played a game more, and Barnet on 60, with some remarkable recent form.
Yeah, I mean, I do worry for both of these that it could be coming, too late. Certainly in Barnet's case, I think had Walsall managed to hold on to their lead against Colchester, then things could have, of course, been very different for them. But now looking at the league table, and the fact that even though under Byfield things have improved, I think it's hard to really say that the quality is there for them to impact to win the games they're going to need to in order to finish in the top 7. Fixtures, some look pretty tricky. They go to Bromley on final day, which could be interesting. They go to Swindon in this run as well. So maybe I'm just burnt from last season, but not quite ready to trust them as it stands. And then we've got Barnet, who, for much of the season have been the kind of data darlings of the league. Back-to-back wins mean they've still got a chance, I guess. It feels like home to Bromley on Good Friday is going to be huge for them. If they can win that, then they're going to really be in it. But probably relying on teams above them dropping points, although they do, their final two games are Gillingham at home and Harrogate away, where if Harrogate are down and Gillingham are done, then those 6 points, if they were to get them, could be very, very helpful. So
incredible playoff picture.
Yeah, I don't think either will finish in it, but they certainly aren't out of it.
Some of these teams are really good, and only one of them is going to be playing playoff semi-finals. Quite remarkable. We'll do our predictions after talking about the League Two relegation battle. Incredible scenes over the weekend. Crawley, Newport, Barrow, all winning on the same day. Harrogate losing at home to Notts County and therefore losing ground. They are at the bottom on 30 points. Barrow on 32 with a game in hand over Newport, Crawley and Harrogate. There's a 2-point gap to Newport and Crawley, both on 34. And then Tranmere Rovers didn't play over the weekend. It could barely have gone any worse for them. They're on 36, 4 points above the drop zone. George, starting with Harrogate, that really was pretty damaging. They're 4 points from safety, 6 games to go.
Yeah, I think them losing on Saturday and then watching all the teams around them win wouldn't have been expected. And it feels like they've gone from in a position of playing quite well and picking up some good results and really give themselves a chance of staying up to suddenly really staring down the barrel, and it feels like it might be curtains. The only game they've got against teams around them is away at Newport, and Newport's current form, especially at home, has been really strong. They've got 2 dead rubbers, or what let's say they will be dead rubbers. One is against Bristol Rovers, who are flying at the moment, and one against Colchester, who that obviously looks better. And then apart from that, it's teams all in and around the playoffs. I maintain, as I said on the betting show on Thursday, that they've improved since January, but Saturday was a really flat showing in what was a huge game for them. And I worry that they might be the one to go. But it's so tight down there, and they've beaten good teams already, and recently too. So it's not done, but Saturday felt like it was really, really damaging for Harrogate's survival hopes.
Barrow won a game, and Barrow didn't just win a game; they beat the league leaders Bromley, who hadn't lost in 21 games. Barrow with just the 2 wins in 25. They won from behind. First half, free kick. Ashley Charles, top corner, 1-0 Bromley. It probably just feels like that's the sort of thing that happens when you're bottom of the league and you're playing top of the league. But they managed to find their way back. Gordon equalising, Danny Rose scoring the winner, and Barrow see it out with relative comfort, to be quite honest with you. Now, how much do we read into this? Like, more importantly, what does it lead to? Does this fix everything? Does this solve everything? Are Barrow now back? Is Sam Foley, who is he their fifth manager this season, I think? It shows how many they've had, that I don't know if he's the fifth or the sixth, one or the other. Has he now cracked it? They've not got easy fixtures. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that their fixtures are absolutely honking. In that they still have to play MK Dons away, that's next up. They also have to play Cambridge away, penultimate game of the season. They then play, between those two, 4 playoff candidates. Chesterfield, Barnet, Oldham, Walsall. Nightmare. They finish at home to Newport County, which could be a massive game, but right now there's 2 points between them. And based on the fixture list, Newport have they have more opportunity in terms of fixture schedule to pull away. So really tough for Barrow. A great weekend for them. We should be positive about that. Graham Coughlin's come in to support Sam Foley, obviously an experienced manager to help an inexperienced one. I like that approach. I think that's a smart move. But it's such a funny one when you win for the first time in ages. It's like a huge win. You realise that the 2 teams next to you have also won in like quite dramatic circumstances as well. Obviously, there's nothing bad that can come from that, but it must be frustrating to a certain extent as well. Newport did the business. Bobby Camwa.
Yeah. The team, Christian Fuchs, what he's doing there, it's just unbelievable. Like it felt kind of impossible that Newport would be able to get into this position where they're playing probably the best of the bottom teams and are winning games. Bobby Camwa with an incredible strike against Shrewsbury to win the game, just on that left-hand channel on his right foot and hitting it from just outside the area into the top right-hand corner. An unbelievable hit. And yeah, I kind of, in a weird way, I talk about teams you don't trust. I kind of feel a bit of trust in Newport at the moment. It feels like they're like the solid team down towards the bottom. It's just mad that when you look at the managers in this relegation battle. Simon Weaver's obvious, but Colin Kazim-Richards, Sam Foley, and Christian Fuchs. If you told us that when we were doing our 1-24s at the beginning of the season, we'd have been very confused as to which teams would be down there apart from Harrogate. They've got Crawley and Harrogate both at home before now at the end of the season, which feels massive given how good their home form has been. And, they'll want to try and finish this because they've got Barrow away on final day.
Yeah. And
if there is a point or two between those 2 teams going into final day, there's every chance that could be a relegation playoff on the last day of the season, which could be pretty lively. So yeah, liking Newport at the moment, think they probably have enough to stay out of it.
What of Crawley? Because they won as well. They beat Gillingham by 2-0, both goals in injury time. Colin Kazim-Richards wins his first game as a head coach, and love the way he carried himself. Great on-pitch huddle after the game. The positivity, the bullishness in his press conferences is pretty infectious. Some of the phrases that he uses are very unusual. My favourite being pre-game when he said, "My norm is being in the unnorm." And it's not baseless at all. Look at his career. It's very clear that Colin Kazim-Richards, compared to almost anyone who came from where he came from, that started his career in the way that he started his career, no one would have the career that he had and went to the places that he went to. So I like that. It was funny, but it's also it's kind of infectious. And it makes me buy into, maybe Colin Kazim-Richards is the right person to take Crawley in a 7-game relegation mini league. Crazy. It was 0-0 until injury time. Taylor Richards with a bit of individual quality to unlock the game. They scored again on the break. Chapman, their keeper, has been great and is a big player for them going forward. And they're 2 points above the relegation zone at the moment. They've got pretty good fixtures compared to others. Newport Crawley on Friday is massive. They've got Grimsby at home on Monday, not easy. Then it's Bristol Rovers, Shrewsbury, Accrington, all beachy to a certain extent before finishing at home to Salford. So no gimmies, of course, and they need to show more than just a win against Gillingham, who are one of the most miserable teams in the league right now, but it's certainly a positive start. Right now, things are looking relatively rosy. And I guess the big question, George, is Tranmere. Is Tranmere, because they won on New Year's Day. Since then, 4 points from 15 matches. Barrow have got 8 in that same time, and the next worst has 13. So their fans will be feeling like the ground is coming up to swallow them.
It is.
What do you think?
It definitely is. They're going to have to find a way to improve, otherwise they're going to get swallowed. As you say, 1 point dating back to Valentine's Day, their last win, which was 2-0 over Crawley. It's not good. Pete Wild comes in, who's a manager that I respect and like. I think the international break's probably come at a perfect time for them, where off the back of a 1-0 defeat against Swindon, where Junior Hoylett scored in injury time, where they were okay, and okay in itself is an improvement on what came before. He's had some time to work with them. The fixtures aren't overly difficult. They travel to a Shrewsbury team who look like they are, beach heavy currently, and then they host Colchester over Easter. Like, those are two teams really out of form with very little to play for, and that feels like it's going to be massive for Wild and for Tranmere. Should they, fail to get anything out of those, they've still got Cheltenham to come, Bristol Rovers to come. We talk about other teams in trouble who, you look at their fixture list, it's all against teams with something to play for at both ends of the table. It feels like Tranmere have enough in there that if, with a squad who've shown previously in the season that they are capable of winning games at League 2 level, they should be able to get enough out of it. So even though I'm definitely concerned for them, and they definitely belong in this conversation, as is the case sometimes, now that they're kind of eyeballing the teams around them and are actually in this might be the nadir, which then sees them kind of find a way to improve again.
Okay, I'll finish off with some predictions. Top 3 in League 2, I'm going Bromley, then MK Dons, then Cambridge.
MK Dons, Bromley, Cambridge.
Playoff, Notts, Salford, Swindon, Oldham.
Wow. Notts, Salford, Grimsby, Chesterfield.
That's a tough scene for Swindon Town.
Well,
8 points, the cushion.
But,
that's going to be one of the biggest flameouts in EFL history. Stick with it.
Well, no, but
stick with it.
Just want to say as well that the balance of probabilities are that Swindon will get into it, but I think there's a chance it might fall away.
Bottom 2, Barrow, Harrogate.
Harrogate, Crawley.
Wow. What a league. Join us for the run-in. We've analysed it all. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks to Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund for sponsoring this podcast. Cheers and go well.